No, I mean, my memoir is completely set, almost completely set in Worcester, in the Main South neighborhood where I grew up. And, you know, there's another contemporary part of it that follows the same characters decades later, but which isn't set in Worcester entirely. Some of it is. My poetry, I don't think I have a single poem, you're right, that mentions Worcester specifically. Sometimes I do mention a place specifically because somehow what I'm writing about is important. The place is sort of what I'm writing about. If there's a person in the poem, the person and the place are so interconnected that it's important to me to mention the place. Ironically, the poem that won Boston Contemporary Authors Prize and was inscribed on a very tall granite column and put on a street corner in Jamaica Plains neighborhood of Boston was written before I moved from Worcester. And it actually was inspired by a winter walk one evening when I went by a little botanica and market, a little Spanish market, and the poem just describes this scene in this little market. But it's you know, probably a good idea that I didn't say this was a Worcester market and, you know, in Maine South, because it became, you know, transposed to this Jamaica Plain neighborhood where there's a large Spanish-speaking population. So more people are able to relate to it by not limiting it, I think. Everyone brings their own stuff to a poem, their own experience when they read it. And doing so, you know, they forget that it's not about this place that they knew. And I think that's good. I mean, I think it's, in a sense, almost better not to always nail it down. I have one poem which I'll read for you, if you'd like me to do that, which is about, it's set in Cambridge. It's one of the Cambridge ones that you referred to. It's called Shrine in Cambridge, and it's about a roadside shrine to commemorate a death that occurred there. You know, like you see these along the highway sometimes where there's been a car accident, or on the street where there's been a shooting. And that poem is about kind of the irony of this kind of thing happening in this particular neighborhood in the city of Cambridge being what it is, and how out of place it seems that this particular thing happened here. This is from Living Proof, a chapbook, and it's called Shrine in Cambridge. In this city of scholars and artists, here is where one young friend shot another by accident. In this place, faithfully tended, a cauldron of sentiment. I see a man, or sometimes a woman, planting a reflection of whatever the season or holiday. Notice in autumn some yellow and rusty chrysanthemum, then a small evergreen tree, or holly and berries strung with garlands of battery-operated lights. At the first of the year, a miniature rose in the clay pot and a champagne bottle beside it. I can't tell as I drive by if it's been uncorked. The occasions keep coming. Every year, a birthday cake and candles, and a balloon on a wooden wand stuck in the soil with whatever is left from Valentine's Day. Yet no one makes wishes and no one is served. I used to walk past the place, so I know friends of the boys come, carve messages with knives all along the aluminum railing at the nearby footbridge. I remember one. Shawnee Poo, holla back, it said. What on earth were they doing with the gun? They were friends, and it was an accident. That's what everyone heard. They were coming up out of the woods surrounding the reservoir, had been walking along the railroad tracks. They'd been below the avenue, of million-dollar houses just down the street from the soccer field. It was Friday night, so there were no games for the Children's League, the teams not named for Pirates, Patriots, Pioneers, or Guardians, but for colors like teal, ivory, fuchsia, and lime. In this city of scholars and artists, one friend shot the other by accident, and the one who did dragged his friend's body and his grief up the hill, under the hemlocks and pine, to the sidewalk, and he held him in his lap, and they were a pieta while evening rush hour passed them by. One friend kneeled over the other, wailing, I suppose, showing what he'd done, while the other bled into the traffic jam. So that was important. The place was important. I mean, here's the city. They don't even name the soccer teams the way they do in other places. They choose colors, you know. It's sort of almost this ideal, you know, perspective people have of the city. And yet there was reality that was, you know, clashing with that. And that's why it was named.